So today's meeting,
The mic is working because I cannot hear over the traffic noise.
can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So today's agenda, we have full of it. So we're going to introduce ourselves, and then we have a guest speaker, Doug Jones from ACIU, and we will talk about CA 14 primary endorsement, no King's primary 3, and CAS priority voting, and followed by all the updates from the work groups. So we finally came up with, actually agreed on the vision and mission of the Indivisible tribal. We started the group back in December 24 after the election, and we envision an adaptive American democracy of, by, and for the people that is powered by collective action, local leadership, and the radical imagination necessary to advance and execute progressive causes. So that's the vision, and the mission is to use our local constituent power to advance an agenda that delivers for all, everybody, and by electing progressive leaders, rebuilding our democracy, and dismantling the authoritarian agenda at every level of the government. That means from school board all the way to the president, eventually. And the core principle behind all individual events is a commitment to the nonviolent action. So today we have Doug Jones, who is going to introduce us the California Billionaire Tax Act. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Hello, everybody. So my name is Doug Jones. I worked at Eden Medical Center for 25 years. I'm now the East Bay political organizer for SCIU United Healthcare Workers. We're a statewide healthcare workers union, mainly in the private sector, but we do represent some public sector hospitals and clinics, like Alameda Hospital, like Washington Hospital, but mostly, like you know us best, we're the union that took on Kaiser in our contract campaign in 2023, and the Sutter campaign this last year, where the workers were able to win outstanding contracts because we used a combination of political power and member solidarity at the hospitals and clinics in order to. So we don't just care about organizing the workers and getting good contracts for healthcare workers that not just provide them good wages, benefits, and working conditions. We also care about policy. And I'm sure you're all aware of the big bad horrible bill that was passed by the Senate and signed into law by the most horrible president we've ever had last year. It's important to know that our economists have estimated that starting in January 2027, the state budget in the next 5 budget years will lose $100 billion in revenue from the federal government. That revenue is lost mainly from the cuts to the Medicaid program nationally, that's Medi-Cal in California. There are also cuts in HR 1 that were implemented to the SNAP program in California, that's CalFresh, and there was some damage done to the education system, K-14 education. You may know that the governor's response in his initial budget this year, and of course, the legislature never passes the governor's proposed budget, whatever governor it is exactly, but it is a marker, right? And it's a statement of the values that that governor has. Governor Newsom has proposed a budget that would take Medi-Cal insurance from over 3 million Californians. He's proposed a budget that would take CalFresh from over 3 million Californians. The great work that the state legislature and Governor Newsom engaged in to broaden the eligibility for Medi-Cal insurance to the maximum degree possible, to the degree that outranks the federal funding of the Medi-Cal expansions. We now are deep into the undocumented population, which was what was necessary for us to be able to get insurance for nearly everyone. The uninsured rate in the state of California previous to the ACA's implementation in 2013 was about 17%. 17% of Californians did not have health insurance. And what that means is it's not just that they risk financial catastrophe if they need acute care services or even subacute care services. It also means that the healthcare providers that provide their emergency care and other care don't get paid. Because almost by definition, if you don't have health insurance, you're not a wealthy person, right? You don't have the money to pay for your medical care, but you need it. Everybody needs medical care, right? And obviously the values that we share, I'm a member of East Bay DSA, I've been a long time progressive, and we share the values that healthcare for all is a fundamental human right, and that the for-profit healthcare system is corrosive to healthcare. So we care about these things, and we find Governor Newsom's position on the budget, while simultaneously wanting to take away the progress that we made on health insurance. We're now at an uninsured rate in California that started out at 17%. The uninsured rate in California now is about 4%. Only 4% of Californians lack health insurance, approximately. That is a tremendous credit to the governor and the state legislature for spending state money to pay for the expansion of health insurance for Medi-Cal for undocumented residents. That's been important and necessary, frankly, for the healthcare system to improve and for it to be funded. But we just went through a pandemic where we lack this sort of safety net services that the community needs. Part of that is decisions that are made by corporations that artificially restrict healthcare access, but there's a lot of other factors in there too, and amongst them is that we could use some more money in the healthcare system from the standpoint of reimbursements, particularly in the public sector, and those additional 4% of people that still don't have health insurance after all these years. It's unacceptable, morally unacceptable, to have millions of people lose their health insurance, and the results of that would be clinics will close, clinics will reduce services. Hospitals will close, hospitals will reduce services. Stanford's not going to close Valley Care, but they may reduce some services, right? Kaiser's clinics in the area may reduce services. Clinics that really are safety net healthcare providers, whose margins are much narrower than the Sutters and the Kaisers and the Stanfords of the world, they may close. They're at great risk of closing. The Alameda Health System, did people hear about what happened at the Alameda Health System in the last couple of weeks? Anybody? On January 6th, the Alameda Health System, which now runs 4 hospitals, safety net hospitals, the Heritage Hospitals Highland in Oakland. They now also operate San Leandro Hospital, Alameda Hospital, and now they just took over operations at St. Rose Hospital in South Haven. And they did that because these last 3 were previously private sector hospitals that were financially not healthy. It's not because the people in those communities don't need the care, it's because the payer mix is bad, right? There's too many patients that use that facility that have Medi-Cal insurance, and then there's the few that are uninsured. So there's just little to no reimbursement. Medi-Cal reimburses something. It's better than nothing, and that's why it's important that we preserve Medi-Cal, but it doesn't reimburse the cost of care. The healthcare system is strange. There are some hospitals that can be very busy, but they're busy with the type of patients that don't reimburse fully for the cost of care, and thus the hospital's losing money while they're taking care of patients. Really stupid. But this is the system that we have right now. And it's important that we maintain health insurance for as many people that use healthcare as possible. So the governor is simultaneously proposing to cut healthcare insurance and SNAP from millions of people, while simultaneously organizing billionaires to contribute to a fund that would attack our ballot initiative. The ballot initiative that our statewide healthcare workers union got title and summary on in January and is currently collecting signatures for to qualify for the November ballot. Have people heard about the Billionaire Tax Act? What do we know about the Billionaire Tax Act? Anybody want to say something basic about what it is? Like, what are the policies?
The Bluetooth device is connected successfully.
I don't know much, but I've heard that it's just a one-time tax. It's not annual, it's one shot.
I can clarify.
It is a one-time tax. It's a one-time tax that taxes just the state's billionaires over the next 5 years, 5%. The billionaires can pay 5% all in the first year, or they could pay 1% of their worldwide wealth, not their income, over the next 5 years. Either way, our estimation is that, here's a good guess, how many billionaires are there in the state of California? 280 is a guess. Anybody else care to guess? And keep in mind, billionaires used to be almost non-existent, right? There was almost nobody who was a billionaire. 20? Okay, so it's 200? Kyoko, not surprisingly, is closest to the number. It's 215, that was our estimation. 215 billionaires in the state of California. This obscene growth of wealth that is taking place because of our terrible tax policy at the federal level, terrible regulatory policy, and terrible enforcement of those regulatory policies is leading to people just extracting wealth from the middle and lower classes all the time and just piling up this obscene number. And the richest of the billionaires, you're probably aware of this, have hundreds of billions of dollars, right? It's unconscionable for people to die while those people hold on to that obscene wealth. So we've shared with the leadership of this chapter of Indivisible our wish that the chapter endorse the Billionaire Tax Act. If I understand correctly, that has officially happened, Kyoko? Very good. So we put that in front of your leadership body, and that is the official position of the group. There's two things that are a priority right now, and the one that I'm going to be talking about here is super important. We need people to both sign petitions to qualify the Billionaire Tax Act for the ballot, and we need people to collect signatures for the Billionaire Tax Act. So we'd like to get some cooperation on both of those, but the first one is the easiest one to do, and you'll see that on this petition, Isabel is the first person who signed on that petition. Is there anybody who does not live in Alameda County? So you're a registered voter address in Contra Costa?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to give you this one. Is there anybody else who's in another county other than Alameda? Okay, so you're going to sign this one. Do not sign the one that is circulating that's going to have Alameda. Yes, you can read the title and summary. That's right there. That was provided when the Attorney General of the state of California certified that this is constitutional, and here's his basic description, and with input from the legislative amnesty. So if we could take just a minute or two to sign the petition. The ones that are blank, we want that to be for Alameda County, and then there's ones that are circulating that are for Contra Costa. Is there anybody else that's not in Alameda County? Very good. So the petitions that are circulating, if you could sign that. The other thing that's happening is that, has anybody participated or heard of somebody who has been a professional signature gatherer, who's paid by the signature to qualify ballot initiatives? So tell me what you know about that. Do you have like a sense of how much people are typically paid per signature?
No, I've just had some.
What's that?
I've just had people approach me and ask for signatures.
Got it. Okay, so you've experienced a professional signature gatherer coming to you. So here's the facts. We need 872,000 ballot signatures to qualify a state ballot initiative based on the current status of the state's participation in elections. So, yes?
my experience, I'm Esther Black, for those that don't know me. I'm a third-year Pleasanton resident. In my experience with the paid thing, a lot of them have, they allow to take up sit in front of the grocery store, and I'm the one that has to walk up to them. I'm nosy, I want to know what their position is. And I also had experience that I had to tell page 7, I'll donate you $2 for your time. Then one petitioner refusing to sign because it's a poorly written law, and I can even tell, and I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah, the other thing to know, like, here's my wife's point of view. Like, my wife shares our political ideology because I wouldn't be married to her. I could not be married to a Trumper, absolutely. So her point of view on this is that, and if you've already signed the petition, like if you look at the title and summary and you've already signed it, please do not sign it again. Right? If you're certain. If you're not certain that you signed it, please sign it. So yeah, my wife's point of view is that she looks at who the funder is for the campaign. And you can see that I've actually put it at the bottom of each of the clipboards. The funder for this campaign, the primary funder this month, is us, our statewide healthcare. So that looks pretty good on this signature, right? In comparison to some of these ballot initiatives that I'm about to tell you about, which I've got to be honest, the billionaires have put forward at least 2 additional ballot initiatives, and they've done it within the last week or so. It's very late, right, to qualify an initiative. Like the deadline to qualify for the November ballot is coming up pretty quick. It's frankly pretty unlikely that they're actually going to qualify their initiatives, and the policies of their initiatives are not helpful or working. But again, the point is not to qualify them. The point is to dry up the paid signature gatherings. The average ballot initiative in recent years has paid signature gatherers around $5 to $8 per signature, right? And this is a valuable thing, right? We need to be able to get some paid signature gatherers. We cannot, if you're getting 872,000 ones that you are certain are qualifying, you kind of need to turn in around 1 million. We do a very close quality check in order to not turn in signatures that we know are not going to qualify. But the registrars in the various counties always disqualify ones that we think are valid. So you can't come in at 873,000. You need to come in at a number that's more like 1 million. To do that, you can't do it with an all volunteer. You just can't. A significant portion of the campaign needs to be paid signature gatherers. I'm a volunteer signature gatherer, and you can see that we have a robust campaign to collect signatures on a voluntary basis. But we need those paid signature gatherers. The average has been $5 to $8, and obviously that's costly to us, right? We're funding the campaign. The billionaires are now paying the paid signature gatherers for their initiatives $25 a signature. Now, like way over what has ever been paid in the state of California for ballot initiatives. They want to dry up the paid signature gatherers on our initiative to prevent us from qualifying. This is aberration. This has never happened in the state of California where anybody has engaged in such a campaign. And think about it. Why do they want to deny the voters the opportunity to decide whether billionaires should be taxed in order to fund healthcare, SNAP funding, and K-14 education? What would be a reason that they want to avoid it? Anybody want to speculate? Pardon me? They know that if the voters vote on this, they're going to vote for it. Right? They're going to spend, like if we will qualify this thing with your help and with the help of our coalition and with the help of our healthcare workers and with the help of our paid vendors, we're all going to work together to get this thing qualified. And they're going to spend a preposterous amount of money during the campaign to propagandize the public, as they do, to try to fool them into voting no. We pulled this initiative, and the way we pulled it is that we've given, like once we've described the basic concept of the initiative and what it does and what it funds. It doesn't go into the revenue for it, doesn't come into the general fund. It goes into specifically Medi-Cal, CalFresh, and K through 14 education. We poll it so that once they've gotten the initial basis of it, we poll with a bunch of negative messages and no positive messages. Because we presume we're going to get outspent on the campaign. We're not going to be able to spend as much as the billionaires do, as we can see right now. It doesn't move the electorate much, right? The electorate, once they've been told tax billionaires to fund healthcare, nutritional programs, and education, it moves it a few points down, but it's still a strong majority. If the billionaires were confident that they could defeat this initiative, they wouldn't be doing what they're doing right now, right? They would just go ahead and let it qualify, and then they, tar and feather us as they will during this campaign, and they would beat us, but they're not going to beat us, right? But we got to be organized and we got to participate. So I'm glad that people are signing the petition. If the petition hasn't gotten to you, please ask for another one. And the other thing that's happening is that we are doing trainings for people to collect petition signatures for the Billionaire Tax Act. And those trainings, and I'll send this along to your leadership if it hasn't been sent already. These are done via Zoom. You get about a 20 to 30 minute training. I didn't want to do that training today because you got an agenda to move through. But these trainings are taking place on Wednesdays at noon, Thursdays at 6:30, and Saturdays at 9:30 a.m. So I'm going to text this to Kyoko. Kyoko can share it with everybody. Move it through your leadership body. We want you to participate in these trainings because it's important that you get the training correct in order to do the most efficient job of collecting signatures properly. Not making a mistake Look, here's a question for you if anybody's participated in these. Can a person fill out a petition that has listed as their address a post office box?
Probably not.
No. The registrars of voters and the Secretary of State will not take a voter registration that has a P.O. box. You have to have a street address. Lots of people want to go and write post office box. That's our job as signature gatherers to say, actually, no, you can't put that. Please write on another line. What is the address where you are registered to vote? And that may or may not be where they're living currently, but it's important that they get that information down right. Are you signing on it right? Things like that. And of course, the trainings also involve being able to know about the basic policies initiative, how to answer difficult questions like, is there going to be massive wealth? Right? Are billionaires going to leave the state of California, and that will cause us to have revenue problems in the future because we'll lose their income taxes? What do you think? So the history of not just the state of California, but the history of the United States is that there have been very few states and local municipalities that have passed revenue measures. Massachusetts is the most comparable one under the current circumstance. They passed it through not an initiative, but through legislation. It's not a tax just on billionaires, it's a wealth tax also on millionaires. All the hue and cry, it's going to cause massive wealth flight out of Massachusetts. Didn't happen. They threaten, they cry, they scream, they get Governor Newsom to scream and cry, oh, we're going to lose all this revenue from the billionaires. There are 250 billionaires in California. The ones that have, through their proxies, claimed that they bought property elsewhere and that they're moving their primary residence is about 3, right? One of them is Peter Thiel. Good riddance, right? What's the other ones? Larry Page from Google. Sergey Brin claims to have bought a residence right across the border in Lake Tahoe, but he did it after January. And that's another good detail of the initiative. If you didn't move by January 1st, you can't escape the wealth tax. You can escape an income tax on any annual basis, but this 5-year one-time wealth tax, you can't escape it unless you moved your primary residence before January 1st. And buying property in another state is not moving your primary residence. You have to, the state of California is pretty sophisticated in figuring out where a person's primary residence is. They figure out what clubs you're at, what activities you do. These things are calculatable by the state of California, and they do a pretty good job of enforcing primary residence. So we're finishing the signatures on the petitions. I'm ready to answer any questions you have because I want to make sure that you move on to the rest of your agenda. And by the way, we're going to be having some of our members participating in your No Kings action that you're going to be talking about today.
Can you talk about the constitutionality question with regard to wealth tax?
Terrific. So the state of Massachusetts passed a wealth tax. It was declared constitutional by their state Supreme Court. The Supreme Court of the United States did not take that up. The Attorney General of the state of California declares it constitutional. And this is a really valuable thing because there's one person that I spoke with at the California Democratic Party convention who is an ally, but he wasn't willing to sign the petition right away, or no, he wasn't willing to endorse as an elected official right away. He signed the petition. He wasn't ready to endorse as publicly as an elected official right away because he said, I'm a little bit worried that they're going to tie this thing up in court for years, and we're going to be missing the revenue that should be collected. We have an expedited judicial process that is written into this ballot initiative. It's on page 82 of 86, but it goes by statute within the language of this initiative. It goes to an expedited judicial review to the California Supreme Court relatively promptly. And that helps ensure that they're not going to tie it up in court for years. And again, the Supreme Court of the United States has not had an appetite to declare it unconstitutional. Previous wealth taxes have been passed locally and in just a couple of states. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Actually, just look up the mass tax that's on income. How is that different from how it would be in California?
I do not know all the various details of the wealth tax in Massachusetts. I know it is a tax on millionaires as well as billionaires. I don't think it's 5%. I think it's at a rate lower. But it has been enforced, and it has resulted in them getting the revenue they need to address the problems of this thing.
Okay, Tony, it's time, so you can take the question of Ryan.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, just the number in Massachusetts, it's 4% on anything over $1 million.
There you go. Oh,
There you go.
thank you.
It's good that we crowdsource information. Thank you very much. So, I have developed my expertise on our tax, and I'm glad to now be able to incorporate this into it. That's very, very helpful. Any other questions?
Thank you, Dan.
We appreciate it. Thank you very much for being here. And we're really enthusiastic about not just the No Kings here in the Tri-Valley. I grew up in Livermore. I was in the class of 1980, Livermore High School. But we're also enthusiastic about all the No Kings that are happening in the Bay Area and throughout the state, because we're a statewide health network. Thanks.
Thank you, Dan. And pizza is here, so we will take 10 minutes break. So we have the drinks and pizza and come back.
Put the
2:15.
Put the QR
Thank
code
you.
back up together.
I do. It might turn off.
I was on a virtual for a little bit, but I didn't get into any of the shows. I was so busy. It must have been fun to be there in person. Where?